Greetings, Mark Rang, publisher of the Conway Daily Sun here, and today my guest is Mark Hounsell. Mark.
Good to see you, Mark.
How are you doing?
Yeah, long time no see.
I know, it's been, we won't tell the viewers of what's going on here.
Right.
We actually are doing 2 interviews back to back.
Right.
You know, because you're...
we got a lot to talk about.
We do, and it's 48 years of you being in public service, and you're gonna talk about that at the end of this. But first, let's start off with one of your favorite topics, the casino.
All right, so here's the thing about the casino. When you're on a planning board, you take, or any oath of office, I've taken many oaths of office, and part of it is to do your things in accordance with the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So the laws of the state of New Hampshire provides for charitable gaming facilities in communities. And so that is a right that people have to have a gaming community if they can meet local zoning. And so the question that came up a year ago was one of, do they have that legal right in Conway? And there's an argument that they do not because of where you would put the charter, which the charter is very clear in the reading, and I've read it, many times. Basically, what it says when it comes to issues like gambling, prostitution, and liquor, that the people of the town have a right to decide what is permitted and what's not. And in the absence of that, exercising that right, I believe there's a legal argument that a casino, charitable gaming casino, was not a permitted use in Conway.
But there's 2 parts to that. One is just the specific language, and one is in the charter that the existing charter, which is old, is didn't it say something like casino is evil? I mean,
social evil, yeah.
Social evil. Okay,
right.
Well, that's not going to fly in today's world.
Sure it would. Why wouldn't it?
Well, because that's your opinion is social evil. Not everybody's opinion believes it.
But the charter says on those issues that are social evil, the people get to decide.
Okay.
And so the people could have gotten to decide that issue with the vote on the charter. If the people replace the charter with the one that's being proposed by the Charter Commission, that prohibition would go away because you eliminated the old charter. And so that language would disappear and there would be no legal restriction.
But I don't think calling it a social evil is legal language,
Okay,
any more than alcohol, because it includes alcohol too, doesn't it?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Because it calls it a social evil, that means that the issue of gambling under the rest of the charters means that the people of Conway have the sovereign right to decide those things. And look at Keno and sports betting. When they've had the right to decide, they've always rejected it.
Did we decide whether we should have a liquor store down there?
It was never brought up in that sense. No one ever asked about that. So there is an argument that the people have a sovereign right to decide those issues. Whether they exercise that right is another point. I am saying on this one that there was reason enough that they should be asked about do they want a casino in town.
Okay, fair enough.
And so I put forth that argument, and that argument failed on a 4-3 vote. At that point, if you watch the thing, I said, yeah, okay, that's been decided. It wasn't how I believed, but that was the decision. I go with that. I respect that process. I respect the process. Then, I don't know, they sensed blood. They pushed to have me recuse myself, saying that I was making a moral argument, which I'm not. I think there is a moral argument.
Okay. But
I enjoy a good bet. The first horse race I went to was the Kentucky Derby in 1971. I won $27 on Canonero 2. I've been to the horse track. I've been to Highlight. I've scratch tickets. I don't recommend it to people, but it's a right people have in America. If they want to gamble, they can. It's a legal right. So I'm not arguing.
Well, what mechanism could it have been brought up as sort of the social evil here? I mean, someone could have petitioned the planning board. To me, the social evil aspect is just part of the preamble of the.
So what we do in the town
is a cultural statement.
What we do in the town of Conway, when it comes to questions like that, we have a warrant article.
Oh, you mean they should have asked whether we want it? Does this conform to a social evil? Ah.
No, they should do what they do with Keno. You can't have Keno unless the people of the town say yes.
Yeah, but the state had allowed the towns to.
They've stuck this under pari-mutuel betting.
Exactly. So they can't stop it.
But also this commission is admitting that there's flaws in this, and there's an amendment by Senator Lang, supported by the commission, that host communities will get a cut of the action. 10 days.
Yeah.
10 days of betting. That's $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
I will offer you this. If it wasn't for my year-long objection, they wouldn't be looking at that. There's a possibility for Conway to get revenue.
Yeah.
And to help offset all the things that will happen because of the gambling casino.
Well, I don't think you can make you can't do a specific line to trouble with the casino any more than any other business.
No, but you can recognize that there will be a budget impact.
Yeah, like anything else. Like, no, so
and the other thing is we got them to agree that they won't expand into Family Dollar. The reason that's important is in today's news, in Dover, maybe Rochester, one of those towns, I think it's Dover, there's a long-standing bowling alley that is going to be repurposed into an expansion of the casinos there by the same owner. So that they're so successful that they're going to expand. There's big money to be made. If the town of Conway's winnings could be $100,000 in 10 days, do the math.
Well, wait a minute. When you say $100,000, isn't it 35%?
That's what 35% would be for 10 days.
Yeah, but it's not even. That's a lot because, as you know,
that's a lot.
It isn't. No, it's a lot of money.
Right.
It's a lot of money gross.
It's based on $13,000 of winning that's going to be split up between the casino operators, the state, and the charities. 55% of that goes to the casinos.
Right.
So 55% of $13 million is what they're going to get from this casino.
Right, and it's not the winnings, it's the losings, actually, they split up, right? It's people who lose money, that's their revenue.
It's called the rake.
Yeah,
It's about 8% of the what's wagered.
Yeah, you have win and you have losing.
You're going to have people coming far and wide to
well, there's one in, isn't there one in, there are casinos all over the place. There's like 7 or 8 of them around the state.
There's 14.
Right, there's one in Berlin.
Yeah,
and that's probably going to expand into the dairy bar.
Yeah.
They bought it, so. But anyway, what do you think about the idea that?
But I think they're making the building look real nice. It's a lot better looking than what
that strip was a little, a little rundown.
Right.
So that's
and I think
sure.
Becky Mulkern's going to get a better look at the back side, and that was based on her objections. In the process, it comes down to the process. They should never have gotten the building permit in the first place.
Right. So you agree with because it was, not to get into the weeds of that, but they first applied under a building. They first applied and under part of the zoning that was a definition of an outdoor amusement, and that's when they took the building permit back, and that's when they threatened a lawsuit, and then they reapplied under a different part of the ordinance, and then it went straight to the planning board, and so it got out of the town hall issuing a building permit, and it went right to the planning board where they basically are reviewing the site plan.
Look, Dick Aganos is a good guy, and he does good development, good projects. He's a good person to have in town. Not so happy about his lawyer and stuff, but you got to remember that lawsuit is still in place. They haven't withdrawn a lawsuit.
No, they're waiting until they get the final approval.
Well,
I don't blame them.
Well, I do. I think that you can be a little bit more civil than that. But lawyers are lawyers, and you just have to.
That's the way it goes. Okay, let's move on to the what's dear to my heart is a charter commission, because I'm on the charter commission too, and that got I was on did two things this year. One was the short-term rental, which neither board has supported, and also the charter commission with nobody supporting either. So my feelings are starting to get a little bit hurt here, Mark.
No, you shouldn't be that, because one of the things about you, Mark, is you involve yourself and you care. And I want to just say, everyone that worked on that charter commission, there was some real talent there. Look at the experience and the talents and the outlook. And they crafted a document that looks like every other contemporary document. There's no flair to it, no soul. It's just business. But that's that. The thing about it is, I signed that petition, and I was eager because I saw it as an opportunity to escape from the deliberative meeting of SB2.
Right.
That didn't happen. Didn't happen right from the get-go when they abandoned the idea that we are a city and should act like a city, which I think would have been an opportunity for us to corral some
Interestingly, I'm going to interrupt you for a second, but interestingly, your sister Janine advocated, she works over in the ticket booth at the Cranmore, and so I ran into her and she was kind of scolding me for the Charter Commission not to try to turn Conway into a city.
Oh, and yeah, well, that's the other thing. A misconception is that my siblings and I are agreement on all the other things. You know, Janine's a wonderful person who puts a lot of time and effort into issues, and she has a perspective that I respect, but not one that I always agree with. I think a city would recognize what we have become.
Yeah, but the city, and just as a fine point on that, the reason why we didn't go down that route, or one of the reasons, was because Manchester, which obviously is a city, and this is 10 or 15 years ago, tried to bring the school department, tried to bring the school system as a department in the school, and they lost in court, which sends a message to anybody in New Hampshire, any towns that want to be a city or to control the school. He can't.
So that's a misunderstanding of the process. That charter, that ruling was on Manchester, which was an existing city. Conway could revamp itself, become a city, and bring in the provisions of like Berlin has, and make it a department. That could have been done. It would have required an act of the legislature, but that's what we do. When we want things changed, we go to Concord.
But getting back to the charter,
the Charter Commission just threw their hands up, and I remember. No, they did. Tom Holmes says we can't fight the educational lobby, and that's hooey. That's hooey, because you can.
No, we know. We checked out. We talked to different people in the legislature.
We talked to a lawyer that had to be corrected on some of his advice.
We talked to a bunch of people, and it just seemed like it was just that we were going to just abandon the whole Charter Commission and go to the legislative route, which is tough, or we did what we did, which what we need. One is that it updated the charter, the 50-page charter, so it updated it so it conforms with RSAs and all that stuff which needed to be done, and we've got some high points, one of which is when you're a selectman system, you only can have 5 selectmen, so we're recommending that we go to 7 councilors, which I know you have. There's something about the number 7 which you don't like.
You politicize the whole thing. People won't have enough work to do, so they'll create work. The selectmen oversee the staff. As long as the staff is doing everything, the selectmen don't have to do everything. They have to oversee what the staff does. The staff goes off base, then you have to deal with that. But you put in a 7-member board, you're going to have people in there who are going to be bored, and they're going to create up things. The way to do it. It politicizes the process. It doesn't help.
Well, I mean, the counter to that is Stacy Sand, who is one of our charter members. She said that, as a former selectman, is that they're overworked. Okay, well, that's what she said. I was never a selectman, so I can't comment on that. But
it's the easiest job that I ever had, and I've had a few of them.
All right, well,
the easiest job is being a town selectman. As long as you get good staff, then you just let it run. We're a town manager form of government. 1947, we were the first town to become a town manager form of government. So the Board of Selectmen in Conway is an easy work, is a light load.
I don't agree with that at all.
Well, I do.
I think there's subcommittee work, but it's also.
I tell you what's hard is a school board, which is a 7-member committee. That's hard.
Yeah, but and I've faulted the current selectmen, and they're all great people, and I know them all, and blah blah blah. But I just think that we've got ourselves in trouble because we have a lack of leadership at the top level.
I don't think so. I think what you're doing is you're blaming the selectmen because you're not happy with the leadership that's coming from staff.
No, staff does what the selectmen want. I think we got in troubles with the signs. We got in trouble with the STR thing of 2-3 years ago, and there you go. And I think
staff does many things. One of the things is that they advise the selectmen, and the selectmen listen to their advice. And if they don't agree with the staff voice, they don't support it. At that point, the selectmen have given the direction to the staff, but most direction is generated from staff's advice. I realize that, but I think this is my personal view, I just think the selectmen have allowed the staff, and I think, and Paul D and Ryan is great, and Paul D they're all very competent, and certainly everybody else, Krista and the whole crew there, very, very competent. Well, downstairs, the town clerk's office, they're immaculate.
Yeah, and Krista Day, and they're all very, very competent and all that, but I just think
makes it an easy job.
It is. Well, I don't think it's that easy because the town has been in a lot of controversies, from being misguided about the paid parking to the controversies are part of it. not making a lot of mistakes. Well, the cup has been around for a while. So anyway, okay, let's move on to the House bill and the surcharge. Okay. Explain what it is first.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Explain what it is.
The surcharge, basically what it comes down to is this: if someone comes and rents a room in Conway, they get their bill, and no matter what the room rent costs, if it's $100, they pay $2 in the surcharge that goes directly to the town of Conway. If they come in and they get the presidential suite and they pay $500 a night, they get a $2 surcharge.
$2 a night.
$2 a night surcharge.
Whether you're a $30 hotel room, motel room, or $100.
It's $2. Okay. It's $2 across the board.
And in the state, it's out of committee now, right? Because it was a 10-10 vote.
Yeah, no, it's going to the floor, which...
Right, so, but it went to party lines, because all the Dems supported it, and all the Republicans were against it.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Okay, so what it does is it's misunderstanding of what the bill is. The Republicans, to their credit, are the watchdogs over new or expanding taxes. So they're looking at this as, oh, this is a tax. And that's the mistake. It is not a tax. It is not a tax at all. It's a surcharge. In actuality, what it is it's property tax relief. Mm-hmm. It's real property tax relief with real dollars reflected on the cost of doing business in order to enhance businesses who generate rooms and meals tax. I've heard that Conway sends in anywhere from $18 to $28 million to the state in rooms and meals tax because of all the activities up here. That's big number. And what we get back from that is minuscule.
Right.
It's revenue sharing stuff, and it's minuscule. It goes to the state, and the state uses it in the general fund, and it goes to where it goes. So that is generated in the town of Conway. But town of Conway, in order to be in the position for people will come here and enjoy this stuff, have to invest in police, ambulance, water and sewers, waste disposal, all the things that you need to have a community ready for the influx of 30,000 people on a summer week. We're
like this week.
Yeah, they're here. The traffic's here. We have to maintain the roads. We have to do all the things. Conway Rescue does 3,000 calls a year, and many of them on the Kancamagus Highway because someone slips and falls at Lower Falls, and you got to go up and help them. But those are all paid for by the local property tax payers. This surcharge would allow us to be able to look at it this way. It would allow the guests who are taking benefits of the services to contribute something towards it. If someone came up here, a man and his wife came up here for a week, wanted to come to North Conway for a week for vacation, they're not going to say, I'm not going up there, it's going to cost me $14 more. No, they're paying now. They're contributing to the services that they're getting, and they should do that. And here's the thing, the calculations on this is if this passed, it would provide all the money to pay the bond payment on the new police station. It wouldn't cost the taxpayers anything on that, or however it's used. But I mean, it's a huge step forward.
Right, and it's very common. If you go to New York City, you go to a bunch of places, there's like a list of taxes and fees you have. So, right? So what are you predicting? It's going to go to a floor?
This is what I predict. And this is based on the if the people of Conway and those people who are in positions of power and connections, like Carl Thibodeau, impress upon Republicans such as Mark McConkey that this is good, real property tax relief, the Republicans will look at this differently, or at least 15 of them will. Those 15 joined with the Democrats will send it to the Senate where now the real serious nuts and bolts can be discussed. I think there's a better than even chance that the House will pass this to the Senate. There, anything can happen. I haven't been in there. You never know with the New Hampshire State Senate. It is so politically malleable that it can change its mind from 7 in the morning till noon.
It amazes me that how Republicans or anybody can't see the benefit to this.
Well,
it just seems fair.
I think it is fair, and I think they will see it because what they're doing right now is they're the guards over new taxes, and they're seeing this as a tax. Once they're convinced by the facts that it isn't a tax, in fact, it's property tax relief, I think you'll get a lot of support. The problem is in Concord, you've got these people who are down there, and it's become more partisan than I've ever seen it. It's terribly partisan. And so based on that, there's this expectation that they'll never get together. This is not a partisan bill. This is a nonpartisan bill. It's not even bipartisan. It is good for the state of New Hampshire, period. It's local options. If people don't want to do it, they don't have to. It empowers local communities. Another Republican tenet is local control.
Yeah.
This gives real local control. And I think that more and more Republicans, given the next 10 days, I guess it's going to be next Wednesday before it's heard, they'll come on board. And they'll vote this through to the Senate, sending it to the Senate where the finer points can be worked out.
What's Jeb Bradley think of this? Do you know? Yeah.
You'd have to ask him, but I think Jeb is an example of someone who's really able to work the partisan thing. He's very accomplished in that. So I'm going to let Jeb speak for Jeb.
And he lives in a represents a tourist town.
He's in a
and he represents us.
He's in an interesting position. He's elected by the Senate to be the Senate president.
Right.
He has a caucus, the Republican caucus, and he has to walk that line, and it's difficult. I respect Jeb Bradley's position. I think that if you were to give him a
Truth test?
I think he'd be supportive of it because he's an intelligent fellow and he sees the justice.
And he represents tourist communities.
Yeah, I think
we're going to move on.
Yeah.
Okay, you've been involved with politics for 48 years, right? And and you've basically said you're moving on. You're just at a certain age, and you're ready to let the other generation go. And we've had, you've been involved with the paper since we started the paper 30 years ago, and you and I personally have had our ups and downs.
Yeah.
We've written some pretty critical things about
Yeah.
you, and then you say, I'm never going to write for that piece of crap again, and then sure enough, you're back.
Yeah.
So it's been a great relationship, Mark.
No,
And what do you think about and reflect a little bit about all these years and all the boards and commissions and?
I feel satisfied that I did what I wanted to do in the way that I thought it should be done. I made mistakes, missteps. I never did it out of malice or trying to get even with anyone. I've always felt the opportunity to be your government is a special one. I was taught by my father and my mother and my grandmother, who was a Roosevelt Democrat, and my father was definitely a Republican. I became interested in politics in 1960 when I was 8 years old, and really interested in '64 with Goldwater versus Johnson. But in my time in high school, there was a teacher, his name was William Proctor, and there's also Donnie Trimble, and they had a course called Problems of Democracy. And I was able to see the importance of being involved. In America, we're a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I decided, well, I'm a people. I think I'll be the government. And I saw that it's available to anyone who wants to, jump right in type of thing. And I would encourage people to look at it that way, that it's a duty. It's not just something you can do, it's something that you should do. And I understand that some people can't make a long commitment to it, but I've enjoyed it so much. I enjoy a good
What are your
debate.
highlights? I mean, I
geez.
know you've got a lot of them, but what's been your favorite board or elected position that you've been on, you think?
I would say my favorite was, of course, in the state Senate, because in the Senate you make law. And I was in the Senate at a time when it wasn't partisan. In '86, I was actually nominated by both Republicans and Democrats. And I learned from some real smart people, Joni Blaisdell, Bob Preston, who are all Democrats, how to do the job. And because of that, I found that I have a natural gifting, if you will, to enter into the fray. I was one of the youngest ever elected to the Senate. I was only 32. You got to be 30 to run. And so I went in there as the young upstart, and I wasn't well received at first. But I worked myself through it, and when I became the chairman of the Environment Committee, I was able to help Governor John Sununu and others create the Department of Environmental Services, which brought all these different bureaus and boards together and started protecting our environment. I worked with Susan McLean, Senator McLean, who's Annie Custer's mother, and we created the Land Conservation Investment Program, which put thousands and thousands of acres into easements and protection from development. And I also worked with her. We created the Non-Game Species Fund. We worked on water and sewer projects, and I chaired a commission called LUST, which meant Leaky Underground Storage Tank Revolving Loan Fund, which was necessary at the time because you had a lot of mom and pop stores that were had leaky underground storage tanks. They had to get out, but they had to stay in business. So we created this fund that enabled that to happen over the course of, I think, maybe 20 years.
Now what about locally? What about your local boards? Which ones have you liked? Selectmen the most, do you think?
The selectmen was easy. I enjoyed it
Well, that's because they don't do any work.
they don't have to do any work if they have the right staff. We were fortunate to have Earl Sires and Tom Holmes and now Johnny Eastman and all the staff around it, and Paul D. That's easy. That's easy lifting. There's some challenging boards. I think the county commission was very much an eye-opener, and to the degree that I left it thinking this really isn't even a necessary operation. But the most rewarding and difficult and just I really enjoyed it was the school board. I really enjoyed working on it because of the complexities of it. There's nothing easy about being on a school board. Nothing easy about educating people's children correctly. Nothing easy about balancing the desires of teachers' unions and the administration and bringing it all together in a way that's going to promote and enhance education. I really believe that we did that. I really do.
What do you think about the new generation of leaders? I mean, I think you would agree the planning board's very progressive.
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm very happy to go. It's not just the planning board, although we have some real talent there. Liza Grant, Ben Colbath, Ali Baez. We've got some real good people there, but we also have some good stalwarts like Steve Porter and Steve's father and you know, all these people who have gone before us. They have a lot still to offer. But we've had people over the years, I think of Crow Dickinson, and I think of probably people you don't even remember, Maury Geiger and others who were involved in our governments over the years, Esther Davis, and the selectmen who served, you know, Dave Weathers, who served so many years. These people gave of themselves, and you know, Bill Marvel, Steve Steiner. You know, you get some of these guys you can get really frustrated with, but you know, you got to give them credit for being involved. Ted Sayers, he and I almost had a fist fight one time. He was just, that's the way it was. But I kind of missed Ted, you know. But he offered himself. He involved. He jumped in, you know, and that's what I celebrate. And I see that in some of these young people coming up. My concern for them is they don't understand
what
the
advice
process.
would you have for them?
Learn the process. Learn the process. Understand the importance of rules. Understand the importance of every step being done in a decently in order fashion. Don't look for shortcuts. Good government is slow-moving government. Don't try to rush an idea. Build on what you have. Build on your successes. Change those things that aren't working. Protect your water and sewer. The most important thing that this town can do is have safeguard the aquifer and the river. Without that, Bill Marvel will be right, because everyone will move out of town because it wouldn't be safe to live here. Protect your water. Protect your environment. Protect your sceneries. Protect what you have for future generations. Build on your education idea. Do what the planning board is suggesting. Make Conway a place where families can thrive. And good. That I really believe can happen and will happen, just not with me.
Well, good. Mark, it's really been a pleasure, and I cannot believe you're not going to be back in some way.
You won't be able to find me. I've got one thing I'm going to do.
Where are you going?
I'm headed into a phase of my life that's going to allow me to do the things that are deep in my heart. I'm going to go preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to whoever will listen. I'm going to talk tenderness and love and compassion, and I'm going to just tell people, don't panic. God is God, and He loves us, and just be gentle with each other and stop being so cruel. Stop thinking that crooked people should lead you. And to that I would say, don't vote for Trump.
Okay, we're going to leave it on that, Mark.
Thank you.
Hey, nice to see you again.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for all you've done, Mark. I really appreciate it.
We're going to miss you, Mark.
Well, you've got other people that you can follow, and the thing about it is, how can you miss me if I don't go away?
Well, you'll be back.
Yeah, no, I won't.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.